In the escalating trade war between the world's largest economies, China has deployed a new weapon against the United States, one that mirrors a strategy long used by Washington. The core of the story is this: China has dramatically tightened its control over a set of materials the entire world depends on, called rare earth elements. On October 9, 2025, Beijing announced new, strict export controls on not just the raw minerals, but also the technology used to process them. This move is a direct retaliation to new American tariffs and trade restrictions, which have intensified since President Donald Trump returned to the White House. What makes this move a page from the United States playbook is a specific, powerful legal tool called the Foreign Direct Product Rule. For years, the United States has used this rule to extend its own export controls. It means that if a foreign-made product, say a microchip made in South Korea, is produced using American technology or software, Washington can block its sale to a third country, like China. Now, Beijing is doing the exact same thing. Under the new rules, a smartphone maker in another country might need a license from China to export their phones if they contain Chinese rare earth materials or were made using Chinese technology. As some analysts have noted, game recognizes game. This isn't just a simple trade dispute anymore. The new rules, which will be fully in effect on December 1, 2025, target the entire global technology supply chain, giving Beijing potential leverage over a vast range of products. To understand the significance, we need to look at the timeline of this escalating conflict. The United States-China trade war, which originally began around 2018, reignited in 2025. In April, after the United States imposed new tariffs, China responded by requiring export licenses for 7 types of rare earths. By October, those controls were expanded to cover 12 of the 17 rare earth elements, as well as the powerful magnets made from them. The conflict has also spilled into shipping, with both countries imposing higher port fees on each other's vessels. In response to China's move, President Trump initially threatened a staggering 100% tariff on all Chinese goods, though he later softened his tone, calling such a threat unsustainable and providing some temporary relief to volatile markets.
So what exactly are these rare earths, and why are they considered a weapon? First, the name is a bit misleading. These 17 elements aren't actually that rare in the Earth's crust. The real challenge is that they are difficult, expensive, and environmentally hazardous to mine and, more importantly, to process. And that is where China's power lies. While China accounts for about 70% of the world's rare earth mining, its true dominance is in the next step. It controls roughly 90% of the global processing and refining. The United States is almost completely dependent on China for many of these processed materials. This dominance was built over decades as Chinese engineers perfected the complex refining technologies, some of which were originally developed in the West. These materials are absolutely essential for modern life. In the defense industry, a single F-35 fighter jet requires about 920 pounds of rare earth materials for its guidance systems, radar, and other electronics. They are also critical for the green energy transition, forming key components in electric vehicle motors and wind turbines. And they are in the consumer electronics in your pocket and on your desk, from smartphones to laptops. China's new rules take direct aim at military applications, with export licenses for defense purposes set to be automatically rejected. For other advanced technologies, like high-end semiconductors, approval will be decided on a case-by-case basis. The global reaction has been swift and sharp. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, who was confirmed in February 2025, called the move a global supply chain power grab. Treasury Secretary Bessent, confirmed in January 2025, framed it as China versus the world. This has sent the U.S. and its allies scrambling to build alternative supply chains. The most promising partner is Australia,
a close ally with significant rare earth deposits. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is expected to discuss a potential deal with President Trump, possibly offering the U.S. access to a proposed strategic mineral stockpile. However, there's a major hurdle. Australia has the raw materials, but it lacks the capacity to process them. Currently, it ships most of its rare earths to China for refining. Building up this domestic processing capability will take years and significant investment.
As we look ahead, several key developments will determine whether this trade war de-escalates or spirals further. High-level talks are ongoing, with a potential meeting between President Trump and President Xi Jinping anticipated later this month. The world will also be watching closely on December 1st to see how strictly Beijing enforces its new licensing system. Finally, the race is on to develop those alternative supply chains. Watch for new partnerships and major investments, particularly between the U.S. and Australia, as they try to break a decades-old dependency and redraw the map of global technology.